everyone. Welcome, welcome. Let's get ourselves set up here for some fast and fun projects today. There we go. Looks like we're coming in strong there. Hello, everyone. My name's Noreen. I am the creative. I don't even remember what I am. I'm the product development creative manager. There's so many creatives there, right? That I always get it mixed up the order. I'm the PD creative manager for Creative Memories, and I'm so excited to be here with you each and every Wednesday, 5 p.m. Central. And we're streaming both in the Virtual Crop Facebook group and on the CM YouTube channel. And it looks like I've got gals here on both platforms. Hello, everybody. Oh, thanks very much. We've got AZ Wife is saying, can't wait to see what Noreen has in store for us tonight. Thank you, thank you. Judy from Boston. We've got Lethbridge. I'm thinking that might be my friend Sylvia from Lethbridge. Gina's here from Colorado. We've got Pennsylvania, Michigan, North Dakota, snowy North Dakota. Jean is here. Hello, Jean. Natasha from Indiana. Vicky's here from Tennessee. Hi, Vicky. Good to see you. We've got folks from Winnipeg, New Mexico, Annette in Connecticut, Tracy in New Mexico, Sheila in Indiana. Awesome. Kathy from Missouri. Well, welcome everybody. And I know they're coming in fast and furious there. So hello to all of you. Thank you for spending some time with me today. It's always the highlight of my week, getting ready and thinking about what I'm going to share with you. And happy March. Happy spring. Spring is just 21 days officially away, at least in the Northern Hemisphere. March 21st marks the beginning of spring, so we're, 21 days away, and I, for one, cannot wait. I'm done with the cold, I'm done with the snow, and even from a lifelong Calgarian, I've had enough this year. I'm just done. So I'm thrilled today that we're going to be playing with some beautiful spring-themed projects and thinking about how we can create some spring layered looks, especially with embellishments. Because I know that many of you have been asking about how to create, tips for creating embellishment clusters, that kind of thing. So I'm happy to oblige, and that's what we're going to focus on today, okay? Hello, everyone. We've got lots more gals still coming in. That's wonderful. As always, I'll mention if you are on YouTube, I can usually see your name from your YouTube username. But if you're in the Facebook Virtual Crop Facebook group, I won't be able to see your name. You just show up for me as Facebook user. So if you want me to know who you are, don't hesitate to drop a little note saying, hi, it's Noreen from Calgary or whatever. Okay? And as always, I'll try to keep an eye on the comments and questions. If I miss your question, I will try to go back after the broadcast and have a look. Okay? So I want to get started by just giving you a little preview of the beautiful new Painted Garden collection. And I want to show you something that some of you know about, especially if you're an advisor, most likely you know about this, but some of our savvy CM fans have already figured this out as well. But I want to give you a little tip for talking about embellishments and creating clusters and all that good stuff, okay? So let's go over actually to my computer here. And if you didn't know, we've got free shipping on right now. So that is a huge reason to have a look at the What's New, and in particular, this beautiful Painted Garden Buy It All bundle. And you can see right there, now I'm on the Canadian site because I'm in Canada, but with the Buy It All bundles, the great thing is that they are 10% off for the first 10 days of the month. So until March 10th, you can purchase it at a special price, okay? And it includes, I'm going to show you everything that is in the bundle on my table in a moment, but you can see what it includes. But here's what I want to make you aware of. And this is pretty much a standard thing for many of our Buy It All or decorative bundles. Our designers do such an amazing job of giving you some ideas. So if you are stuck for ideas, you definitely want to go to the Buy It All bundle collection of the collection you're working with. Look for this download your free ideas sheet, okay? And then when you click on it, you're going to get a great little downloadable handout that you can download and use for yourself. So it's a great way to have some ideas right at your fingertips. So if you're going to go ahead and order that Painted Garden bundle, while you're there or after you finished on the site, just click and download that decorative flyer. And then when your products come, just keep the decorative flyer in with your package. So again, for many of the full collections, you'll find something similar. And our designers do a fantastic job of sharing ideas with you. So that is a great place to start. If you haven't seen that before, that's my number one tip for you today. Okay, so now let's head over to my table here, and I'm going to show you all of the beautiful Painted Garden products. So this, what you see right in front of you here is, or right in front of me, I guess, is all of the products that are in the Painted Garden decorative or Buy It All bundle. So both of the paper packs, the designer paper pack and the tone on tone. So you can see that there's beautiful papers in each. The sticker pack, that's the 3-pack of stickers with the icons, the titles, and the borders. The embellishments and the variety map pack. So I'm going to talk about, all of these in just a minute. You'll also get in this bundle the Floral Peaks Border Punch. So absolutely beautiful. This is going to be something that you're going to use again and again. And then I do just want to show you that here is what the flyer looks like printed out. So we're going to go through a few of these ideas today, and I'm going to give you some other tips. But again, this is great to just tuck into the bag where you keep your supplies, and you can have a look. It's got some great ideas for layering the mat cards, adding stickers or embellishments to the mat cards for a more decorative look, and then creating all kinds of great little clusters or kind of layered looks. So definitely make sure you go and download this, and you might want to go back in and look for other collections as well. So if you ordered, Scrap Happy last month, go into the Scrap Happy decorative bundle and see if there's a flyer there. Okay, so that's a great tip. All right, so let's take a look at these decorative products. I'm just going to move a few things out of the way here. And I've got the stickers out here. I've got the variety map packs. You don't need the little label anymore. And there are so many beautiful embellishments that I had to kind of, spread them all out on a couple of trays. Like not just one tray, but I had to use like 3 trays to get them all out so that we could look at them today. Okay, so these are all of the embellishments, and I know I'm a little off camera there, but hopefully you're going to be able to see this. What I really want to talk today about is the fact that so many of you have said, well, I don't know how to combine embellishments. I don't know how to cluster. All of these clusters that you see on layouts, they look so they look so great, but I don't know how to make them. So that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to look at how we cluster, some general tips that will help you cluster, and we're also going to talk about where on a layout you should put or you can put your clusters. And I just caught myself saying should because, and I'm going to take you back here to talk to you for just another minute before we get into it. I believe that there is no right way to scrapbook. There's no right way, there's no wrong way, okay? And it's the same when it comes to embellishing. And you'll hear a lot of rules, okay? It's got to be 3s, it's got to be 5s, 7s, it's got to be in a triangle, it's got to be in a Z, it's got to be in a C. All of those things are guidelines, okay? There are no hard and fast rules other than doing what you think looks good with your photos and your stories on your page, okay? So don't let yourself get sort of, frustrated or feel down because your embellishment clusters don't look like one that you saw on Pinterest or on Facebook, something like that, okay? Now, having said that, I know that many of you would like some tips and guidelines how to achieve those same kinds of looks. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to give you some of those tips and guidelines. Just so you know where I'm kind of coming from, I have a degree in fine arts and 2 degrees in education. So my life's work pretty much has been teaching people about design and art and visual organization. All right. So these tips that I'll share with you are kind of generally accepted design principles. And then some of my tips from, specifically about scrapbooking. So they may help you. You may say, no way, that's not for me. And it's all good. Okay. I don't want anybody to leave here saying, well, you must do this and you must do that. No, no, no. These are tips that can help you achieve a certain look. And if it's something that you want to work with, that's great. If you decide to go a completely different way, that's great too. Okay, so if you catch me saying should, I'll try to catch myself because it really should be could. These are things that you could or can do, okay? And I'm seeing somebody say, thanks for saying that. Yeah, and I think in the scrapbook industry, sometimes we get, those kinds of rules thrown out as rules, as laws, whereas really they are meant to be helpful guidelines if you want to achieve that look. Okay, but really getting your photos on the page, adding some either handwritten or computer text, and maybe 1 or 2 pretty embellishments or using some pretty paper. That is scrapbooking that is every bit as meaningful as a very decorative page with tons and tons of embellishments arranged according to all of the design principles. Okay, so know that that's where we're coming from. All right, so let's go back to my table now, having said that, and let's talk about all these yummy embellishments that we have. And I thought what I would do is just kind of talk about, again, where, kind of how to figure out where to place things, and then some of the little tips and tricks for creating an attractive cluster. All right. So what I've done here is I've just taken one of the beautiful, beautiful papers, our hero paper, and it looks like I might be frozen. So I'm just going to go back again here. There we go. Okay. I think I was frozen there for a second. I think we're all right now. So I've taken one of the beautiful hero papers and I just gutted it. I just took that kind of nice chunk out because I want to be able to use this for other things. And then I just put a little bit of a layer on top. So this is an 11-inch square on top of a 12-inch paper. And this is how I'll often start when I'm creating a layout. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with just starting with some paper that you love. And if it's a really busy pattern like this, maybe putting a tonal paper on top. So let's just talk about, I've got some photos and I just want to create a layout. So say I had 2 4x6 photos. I might put them like this, and I might put a title up top here. And, maybe if I had a strip of paper, this is just some of the strips that I cut off from my yellow paper, I might put a border across the bottom. There is absolutely nothing wrong with something like that. But if you are interested in creating clusters that, really look like they're integrated into your page, very purposeful, I want to give you a couple of tips with, first of all, placing your photos. Because where you place your photos gives you homes for your embellishment clusters, okay? So like I said, I could put them here. I could have some embellishments up here and maybe down here. But if I create little nooks and crannies for my embellishments, I will often be able to create a more interesting page. So just by taking those same photos and either offsetting them like that or maybe just angling them slightly, now I have these 2 little sort of what I call nooks and crannies that I can put some of my embellishments in. Okay, you could do it either way. It's up to you. Some people like their titles to be over on this side, so we could definitely do something like that. So now that we have that, let's talk about creating a little cluster. So I might start with a title, and maybe I want a little cluster, something like a journal box down here. So I might just I could leave it down here like that. There's nothing wrong with that. But I might just want to kind of tuck it in so that it's touching. And then I could add, maybe a pretty little bird that was just kind of overlapping here. And then maybe I could add something up here. Maybe it's going to be a different bird. Maybe this one's going to be looking this way. So just by having, or maybe I might change these around. Might have this guy looking this way and this guy looking up at the photos, for example. So just by adding, those couple of things, I've created a couple of nice little clusters with not a lot of fuss or effort. Okay. The other thing that I love is that sometimes a cluster is made for us. So for example, we've got this nice little flower with a bee and a ladybug on it. And if we used that, then it really becomes a cluster all on its own. Now, once you've got your nooks and crannies, let's talk about a couple of things that you can do with your cluster. So I have kind of a little formula I like to use. It's a base shape or a large embellishment, a smaller icon or a word art, and then a little accent. Okay, so let's just use that little formula and see what we can kind of come up with. So in this case, the little journal box, or maybe I'm going to use a tag, or maybe I'm going to use one of the circle embellishments. That's going to be kind of my little base. Then I can add something on top. Let's maybe look at the stickers. Maybe I'm going to have, something that's maybe a little small. Maybe I'm going to have the rain or shine. I could maybe add that on top like that. That's a second layer. And then I could maybe add something that connects everything together like the umbrella. Okay. Now, the word cluster gives us a really, really good indication of what an embellishment should do. They should be clustered or grouped together. They should be touching. If I had the umbrella over here, and even if I put this on top, it just doesn't have the same sort of effect. So we really want to make sure that our embellishments are getting cozy with each other. We want them to touch. We want them to touch the photos or the paper or the layers of paper. We want them to cluster together. So that's an important thing to remember. Now again, if you just wanted to have one thing there, maybe something like that, I would choose something that is already clustered for you. And then you could write your journaling. If you just put maybe one butterfly or something like that, it might look a little lonely. Okay? So we want to make our embellishments happy. We want to keep them together. We want to get them cozy. We want to have them touching. All right, let's talk about some of the bigger embellishments, especially in this beautiful collection. And I know that many of you are going to look at that beautiful cherry blossom tree die cut and say, I have no idea how to use that. So let's again just look at these two photos on a page. And we've got two spaces. So we've got one space down here and we've got one space up here. And those would be the natural places to put something. Now, if I put this down like this, it looks good and it's in the right sort of place, but it kind of doesn't look what we would call visually grounded. So that's where I would add a little strip of paper or one of my borders, if I had a border that was kind of appropriate. And then when I put this over top, it makes it look like the tree is kind of anchored or grounded. So that can be my large embellishment. And then let's see, maybe I can put a little word art here. How about something like, so, well, there's a lot of purple, but we'll talk about colors in just a second. Maybe I'm just going to put this little word art that says spring. So I could put that and layer it on top of my tree. Here, I could layer it really anywhere on top of my tree, but I wouldn't put it right dead center, you know, in the middle of the leaves. I would make sure that it's somehow touching what is around the tree. So touching the photo, touching the yellow background, overlapping where the border strip and the tree trunk is. So any of those places would be perfect to put my little extra. Okay, so I'm going to get some foam squares here. And I'm going to use foam squares a lot today, not only because I love the way that it pops things up and gives it some dimension, but it makes it easy for me to kind of try out some different locations because I'm not actually sticking things down. Okay, so now I've got a large shape. I've got a little accent or a word. And then I want to add one other thing. And then this is a place where you could add some of your little gems. I know many people are like, I don't know where to put the gems. I could come in and take maybe the green or the purple gems and just kind of, you know, tuck it down here. I've kind of made a little triangle there with it. That would look great. I could also take, you know, one of my little birds that we were looking at earlier. And this is not going to be to scale, but I could definitely put my little bird on some foam squares and then layer it up and off to the side, just so it's kind of touching a couple of the elements. So that would be that little border, that little cluster along the border would be just exactly what I said. We've got a base shape or a large embellishment. I've got a word art and then some kind of accent. And again, the accent could be something like this, which is a little bit bigger, or it could be, you know, a little gem, or it could even be, you know, some of these little, you know, little scatter type stickers, a little ladybug or a bee or something like that. Okay, so that's one cluster. Let's do one up at the top here, and then we'll move on to a different arrangement. So here's where I maybe want to have my title. All right, so I know I want to have my title. I'm going to consider my title to be the accent or the word art. So I need something to ground it, some kind of shape or large embellishment to go behind it. So this is where you could pull out one of these beautiful big, you know, wreath type of die cuts, or even something like the, I guess it's kind of a sun shape. I might choose the larger sun shape because of the color, and it's going to tie together a lot of my colors. So I might cut that in half and just kind of tuck half of it in behind there. And then I would put my Hello Spring title on some foam squares. And again, I'm not going to put it right on top. I'm not going to put it off to the side. I'm going to make sure that everything is touching nicely. Just a little bit of touching, you know, it doesn't have to be, you know, together like that. They just have to kind of kiss, kind of just have a little, have a little hug there. So I might do something like that. And then again, whatever little accent I did down here, I would probably repeat up here. So if I chose to go with that little bird, then I might choose another bird right in here. Okay, so that is one of the really big things about embellishment clusters. If it really doesn't matter if you have 3 or 5 or 7 or, you know, anything like that. But what you want to do is you want to repeat things. You want to either repeat colors, the icons for, like in this case, I've got 2 birds. If you've got words, you want to kind of see if the fonts are the same. So here, and again, the designers do so much of this work for us. And most of the things in a collection, you can mix and match and put together very easily. Okay, so that's, again, kind of 2 examples of that formula. A large shape or a large, you know, embellishment, a word or another icon, and then something to accent it. And the colors are the same, you know, they're repeated in each. I've got some of that green in here. I've got the birds here, and then the colors work together. This wouldn't work, for example, as well if I chose to put, you know, something like this instead of the that plum or boysenberry color. So bringing the same color into the different clusters is a really great way to make your whole layout work together. Now, I really should point out here that this is not a visual triangle. This is not, you know, a grouping of 3 embellishment clusters on a layout. And you hear that a lot, and I talk about it too, because having things arranged in a triangle is a great way to draw attention to throughout the layout. But you could also have a C shape. You could also have like a zigzag shape where there's 4 embellishment clusters. You could have the embellishments go around in a circle. In this case, they're on a diagonal line across from each other. Sometimes they might be across from each other on either side of a layout. So don't get too hung up on that idea of a visual triangle. Again, I use it a lot and I talk about it a lot, but it is not the only way. And again, it's not a hard and fast rule. It's much more important to have things repeated. So if I took, again, let's just make a disparate sort of cluster now. If I had used that one and maybe a leaf, and again, it's hard to make a bad cluster because, you know, our designers do such a great job. But if I did a cluster like that, again, a shape, a word, and then maybe an accent, that just doesn't have the same impact as repeating the beautiful colors that we see in the opposite, right? Same kind of shape, just it's the different color. So keep that in mind. And I think that's probably the, you know, if you only take one sort of guideline away, is that you want to repeat colors, icons, images, fonts. You want to have them repeated in each of your embellishment clusters. Okay? All right, so that's one example. Let's talk about a different kind of arrangement. And again, where we place things. So that was 2 4x6s. Let's say, for example, I've got 2 6x4s, 2 horizontal photos. So again, I could do something like that. Maybe I'm going to add in another photo. And again, that's a great arrangement of photos. You've got space for a title up here, maybe journaling down here. But if we just rearrange our photos just slightly, if we perhaps maybe overlap one, then all of a sudden we've got those 3 spaces now where we could put some photos. So I could put my title up in this area. Okay, I could put a pretty cluster. Got a little pre-made cluster there. Okay, over here. And maybe I'm going to put that little journal card or one of the tags down here. Okay, maybe if I don't want my journaling to be quite so noticeable, I could tuck my tag underneath there. And now, when you look at this, that's okay, but if we want to make it really great, we want to repeat some of these elements. So let's look here. We've got that beautiful flower. So let's see if I can find some other flowers. Here's another little grouping of flowers. I'm going to tuck that in just behind like that. So that becomes my shape, my accent, or sorry, my word. And then maybe I'm going to take the bees because I've got a bee over here. And I'm going to pop up that little bee. And I noticed that there was even some smaller bees on the sticker sheets. So you could do something like that, right? But now that becomes a little cluster. Here's kind of a pre-made cluster. We could add, you know, again, a little ladybug or something there if you wanted to add just a little bit more. And now we want to add something down here. So I noticed in the die cuts, we've got one more little cluster of flowers. So if I put some foam squares on this real quick, we could just kind of bridge that gap between those photos, and I've still got room for my journaling. And then again, if I wanted a little bee or if I wanted a ladybug, I can just add that in there. Okay. And again, notice how everything is kind of now connected. So there was a space here between those photos before. Now, because I've tucked the embellishment in behind this one and just over the corner of this one, that's connected those two photos. Here, I put the embellishment so that it connects the journal box, the photo, this photo, and then I've got my little extra icon or accent piece down there as well. So now all of these pieces are now connected. And now we're kind of going around in that circle sort of idea that I was talking about. You can see that it's a triangle, but it also just kind of guides your eye all the way around that layout, okay? And have I got some things that work together? Yes. I've got the flowers that are repeated in each of the embellishment clusters. I've got the little bee that's included. The colors, this one kind of blends into the background, but it's got some of that kind of turquoisey color. And there's a little bit of green here. If I really wanted to accent that green, I might take some of the die cut leaves and now just add those in as well. Here's a little sticker leaf. So it's a little bit smaller. So I might fit that in there. And now I've got that green in all three of the embellishment clusters. So I hope you can start to see now that when we repeat elements in each of the clusters, that's when the magic starts to happen. That's why we say that some of these rules or guidelines work, because we can see now the eye travels through each of those clusters and it makes sense to the eye. It doesn't make as much sense if we've got an umbrella here. Let me get that little sticker leaf up. And we've got, I mean, these embellishments are so cute. I want to use them all. But that's why we sometimes, want to try and, match things up. So it doesn't make as much sense if I've got a flower, an umbrella, and the strawberries. I want to have some of the things in other places. So again, if I'm going to use the strawberries, that's why our designers give us a couple. So maybe I would go ahead and put the strawberries up here instead of the flowers. And then maybe over here, because I don't have any more strawberries, but I can bring in, the red little hummingbird feeder, right? And then we can take off the hummingbirds. Hummingbird could come in there, and then maybe another one up here. Okay, so now we're making a little bit more sense. I might take that one and just switch it around for the green. Now we're making a little bit more sense because some of those things relate to each other. We've got some repeated imagery. We've got some repeated colors. It's working a little bit better. So that's what I mean by saying that's probably the most important rule that you can keep in the back of your mind. Making sure that things are repeated in each of your embellishment clusters. Okay? All right, let's do another one. So much fun to play with all of these goodies. Let's try, well, often with a square like this, I will use, here we go, 4x4s. So this is a great layout base to work with. I can put 4x4s. I can really scatter them out throughout, to the corners, or I could bring them into the center. If I did something like that, most likely I would be happy with just one great embellishment cluster. So maybe I would just take that beautiful circle and maybe I would put that just in behind my photos. Arrange it nicely so it looks purposeful. Okay, so I can see all four of those. And then maybe I would just put my title off to the side here. And let's see, one embellishment. That's probably all we need. So maybe that cute little bee. Okay, so maybe that's all I want in the center. Again, I could spread it out. Let's find a little bit of a different one. Maybe we're going to use this one on top because it's a little bit smaller. And how about this one? Meant to be. So cute. So let me just put some foam squares on here. Sorry, going as fast as my fingers will let me there. And now it's sticking to my nails. There we go. Okay, so that would be fine. That would be a great little cluster. Where did my bee go? So this little bee, maybe I'm going to add one more bee here. And maybe I'm just going to set that off to the side just a little bit so it's not quite in the dead center. Things always look more interesting and visually appealing if they are slightly off center. So you'll often see me, for example, take something and instead of putting it right on top in the center, I'll move it off to the side a little bit. Okay, and then that becomes more interesting to the eye than if it was in the center. Okay, so I kind of extend it. But yeah, so let's have that little meant to be and another little bee down here. And that's all we need. So that's one embellishment cluster. That's all we need. And we could maybe write our journaling, down here along the bottom. Or again, add in some of those strips and, make a little border across the bottom, something like that. Okay, but we can also take that and again, create those little nooks and crannies. So again, just by kind of offsetting, I've now got those fun little spaces where I could, let's use the yellow isn't, you know what, let's flip it over here. Let's flip this over. Let's put my photos in the center spot here. It's a little bit smaller because it's the back side. Okay, and yeah, let's do a fun little thing with the sun and rain. So I would take that large sun, I'd tuck it in behind, that becomes my big shape. Okay, and then I'm going to put that umbrella there maybe. Okay, and then that might not be my title because maybe where'd my little spring go? Maybe it will be my title. I can add a small word there, but I don't have enough room for, hello spring. So you kind of have to think about the size of your embellishments. If I want to use a large title, I might only be able to use it like that small little accent or the butterfly or something. Okay. So for that, then I would come down across in that diagonal line and I would put my other embellishment here. So I've got a circle for that kind of sun. I don't want to put another sun down here. So I can mimic the shape. So I would put, again, one of the circle embellishments. So I could come down like that. And again, my little bee. Okay. And then maybe something green. Maybe I'm going to put my little caterpillar here. Okay, little caterpillar, and then maybe my bigger bee is going to go up here and my smaller bee down here, something like that. Okay, now the thing I don't have a lot of down here is yellow. So maybe I'm going to look in here. I've got a little yellow circle that says smile. So maybe I'm going to put that in there. And then I've repeated the circle shape. I've repeated the green. I've repeated the bee. So that's working really well together now. But there's actually 4 things here. So don't get hung up on the number. Look at your clusters as a whole and sort of think to yourself, okay, circle, circle, yellow, yellow, bee, bee, and then I've got some green. So that's a fine example of balancing your cluster, okay? So again, don't get hung up on, what we sometimes say visual triangle as a must. Don't get hung up on saying you have to have 3 clusters or 3 things in a cluster or 5 or 7. You can have 1. If you want to have 1, have 1. If you want to have 2 like that, that's fine. Maybe you're going to have those 2 and then Yeah, see, like this is such a cute little thing. And that could be just beautiful on its own. It's really about placement and making sure that they relate somehow. And even though this doesn't have a circle, the colors are repeated, so it will work just fine. Okay? So those are some of my big tips. I want to just see if I have anything else on my list here. Yeah. So overlapping, touching, layering, clustering means touching. Clustering means coming together. So have your embellishments touch the photos, overlap some of the shapes, keep your embellishments touching in your cluster, but it's totally fine to have another little accent piece that is not touching but is in the general area. And that's again that whole idea. I know many of us struggle with the ideas of gems or little enamel dots. These can go anywhere where there's kind of a little intersection. So again, in that cluster right there, I would look and I would say, I'm going to get my multi-purpose tool. I'm going to take a green one and I'm going to put it right there because I've got this sort of little nook and cranny right there. Okay? So look for the nooks and crannies. Look for those little spots. Look where you can create spots for your embellishment clusters. And then, as I said, if you want to create that layered look, remember that you want to have a base shape or a large embellishment, a word or an icon, and then an accent. So base, decorative icon or word, and then an accent. That will give you a great cluster pretty much any time. The last tip I'll mention, and again, I've been talking about it throughout, is popping whatever is sort of on top of the cluster up with some foam squares will automatically give you a more layered look because it's going to create a shadow underneath that embellishment. And that shadow is what creates the depth and dimension. Okay, so I hope you can remember all of those rules. And again, not rules, guidelines, tips and guidelines, okay? So again, the biggest one I can give you is repeating. You saw the difference it made when we had, the 3 flowers in the clusters as opposed to the clusters in the exact same place and all really, really pretty embellishments. But when we don't have the same kinds of icons, colors, fonts, if it's a word, then that's when the clusters don't tend to work as well together. Okay? So I'm going to try to go back and in the description, so above the video in the Facebook group, and it will be below the video in the YouTube channel. Once I finish, I will go back in and I will physically write in some of these tips so that you can refer to them. Okay? Don't get hung up on them. Do what looks good to you. This is a hobby and a mission to create our legacy, to preserve our legacy, our photos, our stories. That's the most important thing. But if you really want to achieve that look of the layered, clustered embellishments, those are some of the tips that you can use. Okay? Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you for saying that. It really is always my goal to give you information so that you can achieve what you want to achieve in your scrapbooks and on your scrapbook pages. Okay. If you are a non-embellisher, that is great too. I have many naked pages in my albums that just have, again, a pretty piece of paper with maybe matted photos and a journal box. So it's all good. This is such a wide range of things that we can do in this hobby. There's no right way to scrapbook. There's no wrong way to scrapbook. No right way or wrong way to embellish again. Okay? Oh, would I show an example of the new punch? Sure. Let me see. Have I got a piece? I think I do. Just hang on a moment. I do. So the Floral Peaks border punch. Beautiful, beautiful border punch. And this is an example. I have it punched out in the red. It's not going to show up. Let me switch you over one more time. Hang on. So you can see here, I've got one in the gray that might be a little bit easier to see. And let's flip it over. Hope I can get that one off. There we go. Let's flip it over, and I think it'll show up against here a little bit better. So it's really, really beautiful. You've got the little flower at the top, and then the space in between the flowers. It can, it can kind of look like quatrefoil sort of design, like a decorative Art Deco sort of design. You might think it looks like the leaves in between the flowers. If you, I don't have it created this way, but of course you could do a double sort of border where you have the floral peaks punched on both sides. And again, sideways, up and down. It's all beautiful. So that's in the decorative Buy It All bundle, and you don't want to miss that. I think that's going to be a great floral border that you can use in a lot of different ways. Okay? And whether or not you buy the bundle, and I would strongly recommend it because you get all of this. I mean, the embellishments, you've got 40 embellishments. You've got all of the stickers. Oh, and we didn't even talk about, sorry, it's a good thing I flipped you back over because we didn't even talk about the mat packs. But I love the suggestions from our designers on how to add embellishments to your mat packs. Because again, you might want this as a title. So just by layering it, so you can see here, she's taken the One Fine Day and just layered it on top of another mat card, and it becomes a beautiful focal point. Here, this same one, add some of those beautiful hummingbirds. They're all covered up here. But, just by adding the little hummingbirds, that little journal box now is perfect to add into one of your spaces as the start of an embellishment cluster. Okay, so you can do so much with the Variety Mat Pack as well. So I would strongly recommend getting the bundle. And let me go back to where's my screen? There we go. Don't forget to download your decorative flyer, okay? So again, for those of you who are just joining us, when you are on the screen on your Creative Memories website, .com.ca or .com/au, you're going to go to the Buy It All bundle for the collection, scroll down to the description, and look for where it says download the decorative flyer, okay? And that decorative flyer is what I was kind of showing you. So look at all these great examples right here. So there's that wreath design and the little watering can. So again, large shape, icon, and then an accent, right? Same kind of thing. There's a one with the tag, large shape, word art, accent. So anytime you're adding those kinds of little groupings together, the big trees in this kit are a little bit challenging. You might look at that and say, well, that's a really pretty journal box. I don't know what else to do it. So look at this, that they've added one of the stickers to it. Let's see if I can find that sticker. There it is. So we'll add the sticker to it, just kind of overlap it. And then we can add a bird on a branch and then a little hummingbird. So I don't know where those have gone, but again, just adding your little accent there would make a great little cluster. I don't have enough fingers to hold it all together. Okay, but there you go. So there would be one of the clusters. I would add one more hummingbird. I can't find my hummingbird, so maybe there's a little butterfly. All right, so use these as ideas, as jumping off, again, large shape, icon, and accent, large shape, icon, and accent. So all of these kind of follow some of those same kinds of guidelines. So don't forget to download these from the site. And again, if you've bought previous collections, go back on the website and see if there is a decorative idea flyer for you. There's a question up right now in the comments. Is if the bundles are no longer available, is there still a place on the website to get the flyers? No, unfortunately not. Once the products are gone from the website, the links to the flyers are broken as well. But you may want to check with your advisor, because I know that many advisors, print off and keep a lot of these decorative flyers and project recipes and what's new flyers in very organized binders so that their customers can see them. So definitely, if you are a customer and you have an advisor and you're looking for something, ask your advisor and hopefully they can track it down for you. Okay. All right. I'm seeing thanks for the info on clusters. I'm good with colors as a florist, but clusters have me confused. Yeah. So again, think about a base shape. And here's another thing. Sorry, I had these out just in case. If you don't have a large base shape in your embellishments, make one. Punch a circle, punch a square, punch a tag, right? All of these tools that you have, you can definitely use them to incorporate those kinds of shapes into your clusters. So if you didn't have one of those, maybe you use that beautiful big boysenberry circle, okay? And you don't have another circle. Punch one from, your paper, the paper that would work with the embellishment cluster or the layout that you're doing. So use your punches to create those large base shapes for your clusters, okay? I think I've gone over everything I really, really was thinking was important to tell you. I'm sure we could play with this and talk about clusters for hours. But again, the best idea is to just play, think about those kind of guidelines in the back of your mind, jot them down. I will go back in, as I mentioned, and add them to the text above in the Facebook group, below in the YouTube video, so that you can reference them. Maybe jot them down on your little flyer so that you can, remind yourself, and then play around. You saw how I added foam squares to the back of things. And that's a great way to kind of test it out. You'll hear people say, I'm auditioning, right? So you can put your foam squares on the back, and then that doesn't make you commit to putting this sticker down in any one place. You can just kind of move it around until it looks good. Try overlapping it, play around and see how it looks different when it's right in the center versus off to the side, those kinds of things. So play around with that. Keep some of those ideas in mind, and you will be clustering like a pro. I promise you, it's not difficult when you have some of those guidelines and tips in the back of your mind. Ding, 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 circle punch for the win. Love it, love it. Yeah, the basics are basics for a reason. Definitely those circles, squares, tags, those are things that you should have in your, kind of your arsenal, and you can pull them out for all kinds of different things. So that's a whole other day. So, and that's a good point. If you want to see something in particular, if you want me to, talk about it or incorporate it into one of my Fast and Fun episodes, definitely leave us some comments there. I'm not promising that we'll be able to get to everything, but hopefully I can work it in or dedicate an entire episode like we did today to embellishment clusters. It's been fun. Okay, so what's on for next week? Next week, Wednesday, March 8th, we are going to talk about the fastest albums on the planet, the 8x8 paper albums. And some of you, I know, might be going, what is she talking about? You might not even know that they exist. So we are going to play around with the 8x8 paper albums. I'm going to talk to you about several different ways that you can use them, what you can use them for, how you can incorporate them into your larger memory keeping system, even if 8x8 isn't a size that you would typically think about working with. So we're going to have some fun with that. I think I'm going to be using the maybe the Wanderlust, but again, when you go online, you'll be able to just search paper albums, and you can see that we actually have quite a few different ones. So you can have a look online and choose the paper album that is going to work best for what, your photos or whatever you want to work with. And then we'll play around together, and I'm going to talk about how to make it simple, how to make it more interactive, how to make it more decorative, and how to incorporate it into your larger 12x12 system if that's the size that you normally use. Okay? It's going to be awesome. I had a great time today. I've got all these beautiful, yummy, delicious embellishments that I'm going to kind of keep on playing with, but I promise I'll go back and add some of those tips and guidelines in written form for you so you can refer to them. Okay? So have a great week. Don't forget to order your Painted Garden Buy It All bundle before March 10th. I'll remind you again next week because there'll still be a couple of days in order to get that 10% discount. So you don't want to miss it. If you loved everything you saw today, you definitely want to get the Buy It All bundle at that great price. And don't forget, there's free shipping right now. So take advantage of that as well. Stock up on all the beautiful things you need to create those lovely layered looks. All right? Okay. Thanks so much for joining me. Again, I'm running long here. I'm so glad that you spent the hour with me, and I will look forward to seeing you next week. All right. Bye-bye for now, everybody.